Welcome to SHOWstudio, another installment of Head to Head. We're traveling this time to Milan, Spring Summer 19. Thank you, Stephen Jones, for being here with me again.
Thank you for inviting me. Very excited.
You look very dapper with your little Pucci bandana around
but
your
I
neck.
actually have to interrupt and just show the viewers my cake. I could not grow a moustache if I wanted to, but there's a chocolate one here for me.
Yeah, there's a chocolate one, and a note to our audience: the cakes are for real. They're not props.
Before, because I started to eat mine actually before we started filming.
Okay, we're telling you everything.
Anyway, enough.
So here we are, Milan. So Milan is always probably the most complicated to discuss because we tend to want to talk about Gucci and Prada, Prada and Gucci, Gucci and Prada, a little bit of Versace and some about Dolce Gabbana. Why? Because Milan doesn't really give us new talent. It doesn't really give us new creative design that we want to discuss about. And so here we are back talking about the big brands. Also, we must say that they're probably the only one in the world that have remained independent. They don't belong to anybody else. They're founders. Armani, well, Versace,
it's
not anymore.
It
not
was
anymore.
like that, and now
it was like that until last season. But I mean, Prada is still in the hands of Prada, and
that's Prada is a group within itself. I mean,
yes, but it's theirs. You know, it's the founders. So, what do you think about Michael Kors group buying Versace?
Well, it's an interesting mix. And I guess it's what they both wanted to happen. I know that Michael Kors has now renamed his holding company Capri Holdings, isn't it?
Capri, yeah, because they want to sound very Italian.
Yes.
I would say it's in the real accent of Italian.
When you're British and you think of Capri, and you're my age, you think of Ford Capri, which was
Why do the Brits say Capri when it's Capri? Why do they pronounce it the French way?
Ford Capri.
It was French.
It was a brand of Ford car in the 60s and 70s, and I think 80s as well, which was called a Ford Capri.
Oh.
And I remember my elder sister's boyfriends often had one, and they were real boy racer cars, so that's why British people know Capri, apart from it being a beautiful island.
Let's go back to fashion. So we hadn't planned to start from Versace, but since we're here, Versace was bought by the Capri holding that owns, among others, Michael Kors and Jimmy Choo. That's going now to compete with the Coach group called Tapestry, and what other group? There was another group in America, I think. Anyway, so probably especially the Tapestry holding. So Donatella is staying on board, which I think is good news because I think it's in a good place recently. The CEO, Aykroyd, is staying on board.
Jonathan Aykroyd, yeah.
Do you think anything will really happen?
I think I'm fascinated to see what happens. It's not as though Versace was a small brand. I mean, Versace is an older brand than Michael Kors.
Yeah.
You know, it's
quite big.
In a funny way, it's David and Goliath. It's the other way around. And
I wouldn't compare the level of luxury. I think Michael Kors is contemporary. It's mid-level, while Versace is top luxury. They even have couture and everything.
Absolutely. I mean, when Michael Kors started, absolutely, it was luxury. And of course, what people don't forget about is that he was a designer for Celine for many, many years.
Yeah, I mentioned it the other day during the panel. I remember.
And the young ones all say, what?
I must say, he did a good job at Celine.
He did a fantastic job there. Very, very successful. But, you know, he took a different path. He went public.
Made a lot of money.
Expanded hugely. Now it's contracting, maybe going back to its natural point. And I think by buying Versace, you know, it's going to give a new life to the company. You know, is Michael Kors now going to be starting doing Versace clothes? No. I mean, the two things are very, very separate.
It's a group, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not Michael Kors that bought Versace. It's the group that owns Michael Kors that bought Versace. So you know.
Yeah. But
he has a stake in it, of course.
It's a very interesting, I was thinking about it before though, if you see Michael Kors advertising, and often it's a girl in a private plane, looking super glamorous,
there was a Mario Testino
before she was wearing a fur coat, with a crocodile handbag, all these real signifiers of luxury. I mean, that model could have been Donatella. I mean, this is a funny thing, it's exactly the same. The clothes, yes, are different, but the idea behind the brand, this idea of luxury and international jet set and glamour, are exactly the same. So I think in a way that's why they understand each other.
Yeah. What did you think about this collection?
There's certainly a lot of colour. It wasn't my favourite Versace collection, but you know, it always has a sort of mastery in it of technique and of cut. And for example, this red dress, this sort of tangerine orangey dress, and the lime green one, you know, those are really beautifully, they're extremely difficult to do an asymmetric thing like that. They're extremely beautifully done, and it works because Versace has all those techniques. If that was made by Michael Kors in New York, that would be much more difficult.
Okay.
But that grand tradition of making clothes in Italy is seen in this Versace collection.
Has that cut has a name? Does that cut has a name?
I don't know, it's just asymmetry. It's a new cut.
It was a little bit all over the place, this collection. I think Donatella had 2 or 3 seasons that were really extraordinary and talked about, and then here it was a little bit
it's about colour and pattern and print.
Yeah.
That's what the show's about, and it's quite simple silhouettes.
But difficult to make.
Yeah, because always, you know, to do a ball gown with lots of fancy bits on it, in a way, is quite easy. To do a simple dress, which is
that fits perfectly,
asymmetrically cut, is more difficult.
Well, talking about perfection, I think one that really stood out and came back with a bang this season was Miuccia, and the Prada show was probably again her best in a long time, and was her saying, fuck it, I have to say it, like, I'm here to stay, I do it well, I've done it before, and this is how you do fashion. And I think, you know, she was saying backstage that she was very angry that politics and everything were reduced to an hashtag, and that women need to be empowered in a clever way. And here we have Miuccia coming back with the best of Miuccia, you know, where the girl looks clever and beautiful at the same time.
It's so interesting, you know, fashion designers can produce all they want to, but unless the time is right, unless the audience is ready to accept this, the whole thing doesn't work. What was great about this collection is the time was totally right for this. In a way, it's absolutely the most classic collection for her that she has done in a very long time. You know, it's really what she does and what she's been doing, and this idea of beauty versus ugliness, and an unusual cut and sort of strange colours, and that sort of princess sweetness sometimes which exists in her clothes. But we are ready for that now.
The princess sweetness I'm interested in, because that's quite, those are two words that usually you wouldn't put next to Miuccia Prada, and yet I can see it, I see what you mean, you know, like.
She always does that. I mean, look at the headbands, sorry. And the little skirts. I
don't think they look sweet and princess. I think they look tough and elegant.
On her, yes, they do. And what she's doing is taking those sweet clothes and making them tough and modern.
And making them Prada.
But essentially, they are sweet clothes. I mean, it's a satin coat. What's not sweet? There's a pink A-line satin.
No, I agree with you. I mean, of course, said like that, a pink A-line satin coat. But I never thought about buying Prada because I want to feel sweet.
No. It means that bittersweet thing. My favourite thing in the collection was all the tie-dye at the end, and the fact that it was embroidered into like that pink dress on the left or the yellow one on the right. Just so well
exquisite, yeah. So that's tie-dye with embroideries on top.
Yeah.
Worn short with knees, heights, tight. That's probably the most difficult thing to do, to copy.
Oh yeah, I mean, and flat shoes. I mean, most girls, if they bought this, would probably wear a nice matching pink shoe or a flesh-coloured shoe and make it, and it would be a heel.
And it would be a heel. Well, those dresses, especially the A-line, are quite easy to wear with flats, but no.
Yeah, but a dress like that is probably going to be about 4,000 or something like that, 3,000.
That's 4, an expensive one, right?
So it's a really expensive dress, and a 20-year-old who might wear flat shoes with it is not going to be buying that dress. They're probably going to be, buying a copy or
very,
something which
very
is
difficult to copy these ones, I think, with the embroidery on top of the tie-dye. But anyway,
but I'm sure a few high streets near you, you will be able to get a thick, wide padded headband like that.
Yeah, they always copied Prada, but it doesn't come out very well, I think.
No, I mean,
it's not the easiest one to copy.
No. Because the beauty is the lustrousness of the Tironi satin in pale mint green, and when you do that in polyester, it looks like a shopping bag.
That was a very interesting line. What was it called? The fabric you have to do it with?
Tironi satin. It's the Tironi and Clerici are the two biggest, most rarefied, grandest fabric manufacturers, two of them, and they are the people who make this particular type of satin.
So you know for sure that comes from them?
Yeah. Because everybody in Paris, in New York, everybody uses it, and it. When you look at the colour chart, which is about 90 colours, is one of the most glorious things that you've seen in your life.
And do you use it for your hat?
Sometimes,
yes. Yeah. Tironi satin.
In fact, in hats, it's almost a bit too thick, often. It works very beautifully in clothes, but actually the density of the fabric is quite difficult to manipulate on a small object.
Okay, well, that was very interesting. To go back to what I understand, I think, or tell me if I'm wrong, I think the absence of Gucci was felt. Gucci usually opens with a bang in recent times, and then the other follow, and then of course, Donatella stands out a little bit, Miuccia certainly does. But I think this season was a little bit, that there was not that starting point, and that's why this collection that came quite early was even more of a surprise, not a surprise, but more of a good news. It was bringing some interest back to Milan, and in absence of new designer, we have the second collection of a new designer at Ferragamo, Paul Andrew, who I think once again delivered a very, very good show.
Yeah. I was really, as I was looking through, I wasn't at this show, I was looking through all the shows, and I was amazed at this because, I know we've talked about the position at Celine, where are those Celine customers going to go?
That could be one.
They could go here, but this was a really masterful collection. The colouring was extraordinary. The fact that there's something which is in the outfit, something which is simple with something which is complicated, something which is more neutral coloured, something which is an accent. It's just, of the 25 different elements that you have to balance to get an outfit right, he balanced it 100% right, almost in every outfit. And it's a really, really difficult thing to do. Because also this is an exercise in subtlety. None of these clothes are particularly new.
No, I love how he brought back the handkerchief dress that
we
saw before.
But it was bringing back. But that's fine. Most people just want clothes with an element of fashion in it. They don't want clothes which necessarily representative of their political views.
Well, you and I discussed Burberry together, and you were saying, some people need some classic, some normality, and I was like, yeah, but this is what I mean. Here I see more modern normality, if we can call it like that. Here I see something more appealing and modern and forward, even if, as you say, there's nothing really, it didn't invent the wheel.
No.
But it brought back some shapes that are reworked in a modern way. There's some incredible suedes with beautiful color. The styling is very good. He, once again, he did it with his colleague for the men's design, Guillaume, help me, sorry Guillaume, anyway. And I think they match. I think it's a delicious show, and I think Ferragamo is really finding a new future.
Yes, because I think they needed to find a new future, and a future which was also relevant to them, because they don't have a wacky young customer who wants a collar put on sideways. They really don't want that, but at the same time, their customer was getting older and older and older and not buying fashion anymore.
Yeah.
So they really had to renew it. One of the things that you can't really see in this as well was the fact that there were some really great shoes in it.
Well, that's, that Paul Andrew was hired, first of all, to relaunch their main business, which is the shoe.
Yeah.
He's originally a shoe designer. And then they said, this guy is really good. Let's give him the creative direction of the brand.
Yeah.
But of course, I think he said in an interview, which I thought was pretty good, I design the collection around the shoes, not vice versa. So he starts from the footwear, which is the opposite of you, and then he designs his collection around that.
Well, so many designers I know always say that they love doing the shoes and the hats, but the difficult part is filling
it's in the middle. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he's a shoe designer, and if we see the details of the footwear, it's very good.
But this was a really, really beautiful collection. Ferragamo is a huge brand.
It's quite a big brand, so they need revamp.
I think they don't have as many shops as Vuitton.
No,
but
no.
almost as many shops as Vuitton. I mean, it's a huge distribution.
But it's not as big. I mean, probably Ferragamo is around 1 billion. Vuitton is around 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I don't know. Maybe it's much bigger than
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge business. And very, very important for Italy and the prestige of Italy. And this was great.
And they needed an Englishman to relaunch it. What do you think
it's a
about
bit like having an Italian man to relaunch a
Burberry.
British brand. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, that's quite interesting. Okay, back to what happened in Milan. We're not going to go into details, but probably you know that Missoni celebrated 70th anniversary and Etro celebrated 50th. I think Missoni did a good job. They now have officially
Margherita.
Exactly, named Margherita, so the daughter of Angela Missoni, who's been doing for the past years. They named Margherita as creative director. I don't think she did the show though. I think, or maybe she co-did it with her mum.
Well, it will be a combination. It will be a family effort.
It's always been, isn't it?
Yeah, in the way that Simone Roche's. It's a family effort. It's the same. I mean, obviously a very different scale, but it's different people from.
I'm not sure Margherita studied fashion though, while Simone did. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. I think they need some rejuvenation. I don't even know how many clothes they sell. I have no idea. It's a private company. We don't really see figures. We don't know. It's relevant. It's around. It matters still in Italy and in Milan. But I don't know much about the health of the brand.
No, I mean I think they sell and they have a big turnover. But I don't exactly know who their client is. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Do you like this collection?
Yeah, it's not my favourite. It was a bit dark and in a funny way. It's a bit like you go to Pucci for a bright, fun thing.
But you know what? But that's a good point.
Brands doing sort of staying true to themselves. But it's always the dichotomy. You have to stay true to yourself, but
you have to move on. Yeah. That's a very good point, and I think that Pucci and Ferragamo are right now, Pucci and Missoni are right now suffering the fact that they want to stick to who they are and they can't move on in a clever way.
I mean, this is the problem with all Italian brands.
Well, shall we talk about Marni and what Francesco Riso is doing?
Yeah. But Armani is in the same situation.
We don't even talk about Armani anymore, but you're right, yeah.
But, all those big brands, how do they hand them over to the next generation? It's very difficult.
Well, Marni, in the hands of Francesco Riso, has a bright future. The collection was perfection for Marni. It was very new. It was a way to bring Marni forward, to move a little bit that, but it was Marni. It's very consistent, and I think that's the right way to do it. I'm not a designer, so I can't tell you how, but if you take the Missoni show, and this show, or the Pucci, you understand what needs to be done. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think
I let you speechless.
Yes, you have somewhat for once. It was great that there was youngish, modern prints coming from essentially a leather goods company, and Marni originally were furs, and
Marni were furs?
Yeah, Marni originally were a big fur company.
Like Fendi?
Yeah, and so it's always interesting to see the leather dress and the leather elements in the show, which are quite important here.
But I can hear but
it's sort of, in a way, not my personal taste. I think it's good, and it's got a sort of interesting point of view, but in a way, I'm not sure what the point of view is.
Oh, really? No. I think I don't know if this is probably
teach us all.
Well, I think this is his probably second year, but could be the fourth, or I'm not sure about that. But I think he has now established his point of view. I can see it, I recognize Marni here, but I recognize his Marni. I see the same woman who is definitely a fashionista.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Marni,
but not a too crazy one, not a too crazy one, a refined one, an elegant one. And I love what Consuelo did, and when she left, everybody was like, oh my God. And the first and second collection of Francesco Rissa was like, now I think he has matured, he has understood, and he's doing the right thing.
Yeah. I love that this is playfulness in the clothes. This is not like the Ferragamo
less severe
because it's very severe.
Yeah.
This is a bit more fun. Maybe she's buying this, maybe she's buying a Simone Rocha top or something like that. There's that sort of a looser vision of femininity and maybe a more decorative idea.
It's less severe than what Consuelo Castiglione was doing as well, which I think Marni needed a little bit, don't you think so?
Yeah.
But again there, it was bought by Renzo Rosso, was bought by Diesel Group. Consuelo lasted, 1 year or two, typically, like when bought by someone else, and then she was out. When they chose him, coming from Prada, so there are some Prada-esque echoes here as well. When they chose him, I said, well, that's quite a good choice. I didn't know what he would do, but I know that coming from Prada, you had an understanding of that kind of woman, so that kind of Italian.
You can do it. You wouldn't be working at Prada if you couldn't do it.
Sorry, yes. And here it is, and I think this is going to be a contender for big success within the Italian.
Yeah, I just think a little bit more concise somehow.
Okay. Edited? That's what you mean?
No, it's just, say, for example, if we're looking at the thing, these 6 outfits at the moment, there's a lot going on. And you can take on a lot going on, but how each outfit relates to each other somehow needs to be it just needs a bit of simplification.
Okay, point taken. I'm going to have a look at it in that way.
But that's just because I'm not so into that look. There's what the collections have taught us is there's so much room for so many different looks in fashion. That's the great thing that we learned from Gucci now, is that it's all about, in a way, whatever you want to do, you can do it.
Liberated.
Freedom, liberation, just it's important to have fun. And that's the most important message in fashion.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that Gucci did it very well. Alessandro Michele, that's exactly what he did. And I think you can feel it. You can feel it in the other brand, and these Italian big mammoths of brands, they're probably feeling it. But someone who's not very happy about that is Stefano Dolce. And so maybe talking about need some editing, let's talk about Dolce Gabbana.
It was so fun. A few weeks ago, I was in Venice for a thing called Promo Faber, which was installations of craft all over Venice, and I had a little exhibition there. And I walked past the Dolce & Gabbana store there, and I roared with laughter. It was just hilarious. Because there was so much in it. It was such an explosion of colour and pattern and texture and flashing lights and music coming out. And I was surprised there wasn't perfume coming out and a glass of Prosecco outside the front doorway. Probably one inside. It was late at night. But there was just something which was so sort of joyous and optimistic. I know that they've been doing the same thing for quite a long time.
Oh, yes.
And they've also said some things which were, you mentioned earlier, which were reprehensible. But there was certainly an inclusivity now. There was just like this, it was clothes for a party. It just looked like a big party somehow, and so I just realised that I really quite like this show, just because it looked like such a good time. There was something which was bizarrely enough very honest about it.
Well, honest it is in the sense that that's who they are, you know, they cast their friends, they're very inclusive, there's people from every age, provenance, and there's entire families here. It was opened by the Isabella Rossellini family, and then another one. I mean, yeah, the clothes, for me, the problem is that, is there a collection right there, or it's just, they just design, they remind me a little bit of Karl Lagerfeld. You know, there's a lot of clothes coming out, and then the theme is actually not the collection itself, but what they build around, you know, the set or the casting. For them, it's more the casting and the ideas of who's walking. For Karl is the set. But I don't picture a collection. It's too big, it's too...
But you're coming at it from a real fashion point of view. I've had clients who buy Dolce & Gabbana, and they come to me and they go into the showroom and they get change and they put it on and they feel like $1 million. And it's really well fitted, really well made, and it feels them sexy and fantastic, and it's all about the Dolce Vita, and... There you go,
that's all you need.
That's what it's about. In a funny way, doing a runway show, does that tell their story best? I think their story really is told when a woman's got that on and she feels great in it. That's what they are all about. They're not about, in a funny way, being part of the fashion. I mean, I'm sure they want to be part of the fashion business, but that's really not the point of a Dolce & Gabbana outfit.
Yeah, I know, but you know, this is clothes.
Going out and having fun.
That's what, at the end of the day, fashion is, because it's clothes, and we need clothes on our back, and
no, it isn't. And fashion is one element of this is clothes.
No, I know, but that's what you just said.
Christian Dior said the most important part
of clothes is
the party that you go to.
Let me explain you this. What I mean is that when you say they go to the store and they put on a dress and they feel like $1 million, I said that's what, at the end of the day, you take something from a collection. But the reason why I don't go to Dolce & Gabbana is because I don't belong to that tribe of all of that, etc., etc. So they certainly are successful because they're around, and this costs a lot of money and producing big collections, but I just don't see any movement forward, and I need that. I need that when I go to a show.
Sure, and absolutely, the whole we're from Sicily and it's all about the family. They've been doing that now.
And religion and family and religion and
They've been doing that now for like 10 years or so. And before they spent 20 years in leopard skin. So I think we've still got a way to go. I'm going to get killed for that.
No, but I mean, yeah, they react very badly on social media and things. So if they listen to this, they won't like it. But yeah, of course there are some beautiful clothes, for God's sake. It's Dolce & Gabbana. It's been around. They know how to produce. They obviously designers. But do I remember anything in particular? I can tell you, I can give you like 10 outfits of other brands of the whole month that I have here. Here, it could be from this season, last season, 2 seasons ago. If you see what I mean.
Totally. And maybe that's the point as well, because actually what they're saying is this is our point of view, and it's fun and it's brightness and it's about the party and it's about having a good time. It's not this season's party or next season's party.
It's the party.
It's just the party.
Yeah.
And in that way, they are designing correctly for their brand brief just as much as Lucy at Jil Sander is designing for their brand.
We didn't mention the Myers. I really love what they're doing. I don't know if if we have the images for Jil Sander to conclude with something that is really refreshing and the opposite of this, and
totally
and very modern. I think they're doing a very good job. They've done it whispering from the beginning.
Yeah.
You don't really read about them, you don't really see them, and yet their shows are consistently very, very good.
Because I think they're extremely good designers, and there is a business structure for them to go into, and there's just something.
That's also another contender for the Phoebe Philo left vacant space.
Yeah. This is the
in a woman world.
Big question in fashion.
What do you mean?
We're talking about Milan, but obviously in Milan, at the time of Milan, which was just before Paris, the thing on everybody's lips was what is going to happen at Celine.
Yeah.
And, we know what did happen.
Yeah, now we know what happened, and so we are wondering who's going to dress those women.
And
this
Celine
can
didn't
be
revolutionise fashion in any particular way, so certainly brands like this have more relevance once again.
Yeah, I think this is extremely chic. This is extremely beautiful, and when you go and see the clothes from close, they are quite complicated. I mean, there's some jacquard that is really pretty. There's some, not embroidery because it's very minimal, but it's like the cottons are, I don't know, the leathers. It's very beautiful. It's very beautifully made, and it fits well. And I think, that well said for mentioning them. They deserve to be mentioned and successful. Do you work with them at all?
No, I worked with Jil Sander herself very, very many years ago, but also I worked with Raf when he was there, before he came to Dior.
Of course.
So I do know the setup, and there's a few people there who were still there from that time. But Lucy, of course, I knew because she was at Dior as well.
Yeah.
So, no, they're great.
Well, that's it for Milan. So what we wish is to see something newer next season, someone coming out of Milan and saying, whoa, the next Italian, great success, to, as I said, take over those brands that are now managed by people that are, not very young anymore. So let's see what happens next season. Thank you very much for being here.
It's been great. Thank you.
Goodbye.